Hey guys, so this is our last class of the series together. Um, yeah, and I was thinking about maybe there's a first class or something, and some folks were being called to Eastern Hemlock. So we are going to work with that today over in the next week. Yeah, and so here she is. So these leaves are really flat. There you go. They're very flat, like it's soft to touch. There's a lot of lookalikes that are kind of like hurts to touch. You see the underside, it has this white couple lines through it, but they're very soft. Yeah, and this is like one of my, this is a plant that you can harvest in the winter, but we can also, one of my favorite times to harvest it is during like around June, because all the new tips are coming in. And like, this is something that I'll often just snack on when I'm in the woods. Like, I prefer it to white pine. These young, it's like a lighter green color than the rest of the plant, and those are the new growth. So let me just show you that. You know, there's a slight sour taste, but it shouldn't make you be like, ugh, cringe or really drying. It shouldn't have that effect in your mouth. If it's like a really strong, intense taste, then you probably misidentifying it with another tree. And I'll show you some of the other ones that it can be confused with. I have my little dog. I found a tree that's conveniently has a little stick, so the dog is sniffing around. And yeah, I'm gonna come back to the spot and do a longer sit. But yeah, so we're just doing Eastern Hemlock, and you know, not to be confused, there's a poison hemlock, and that is a flowering plant. It's like a white flowering plant found near water and stuff like that, and that's, yeah, obviously doesn't look like this. And there's no real like poisonous evergreen trees except yew, which is you'll only find kind of in like cultivated areas usually, and that's not like, you know, even deadly or anything. But yeah, this is what we're going to be working with. And so yeah, just some reminders about that. Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing this bug thing. It's helping me a little bit, but I have a bug hood so that I can make sure I'm able to do like a 30-minute sit and not get super driven out by the mosquitoes and such. Yeah, and I'm here on the land that is going to become a place for folks for respite that I'm trying to create and that I'm caretaking now. I'm very lucky to be caretaking. So anyways, so yeah, I guess I'll just do some reminders because, you know, we've been doing this work already, and I think you guys are acquainted with sitting with the plants. And so, you know, just some reminders, like I might put the plant between my hands. Imagine myself sending energy to the plant and giving Reiki. And I often see like Reiki as like the sun kind of energy moving through me. and I'm sure that the trees and plants appreciate that. And so I'll show you more of this plant that I chose too, but it's a young tree. I'm in a forest that's pretty mixed right now, and this one's kind of growing in an awkward place. Like, it's not doing that well. It's not that it's sick. It's just, I don't know if it's going to survive with all the shade that it has growing around it. So I figured this might be a good plant to harvest today. Yeah, and you know, just spend time like just opening your mind. You could do some breathing exercises again before sitting. You know, I took this dog for a long walk, so he would be more chill, but he's still a little distracting to me, so I might come and try to do a sit on my own as well. Yeah. And so, like, looking at the plant, is there anything just like physically that it reminds you of in the body, in the human body, or otherwise? Is there anything you feel like might be characteristic here that would give you information about this plant? And as well, if you're tasting it, like, what is that taste? What does it remind you of? Is there any other food that it feels similar to? And how's your mouth reacting? You know, and that can give you a clue as to its medicine. And, you know, you might know a lot about the medicine already. Just try to be open to you know, finding out more about this hemlock. And yeah, so, you know, trying to, you know, avoid looking it up and stuff like that, and just sitting here with her and like what you might be bringing to that place and time in your life. Is there anything that this tree wants to offer you for whatever's going on in your experience? This is our opportunity to have a more experiential time and relationship with the trees, with this medicine. So, you know, or what, you know, maybe there's certain animals or insects that are growing around it, or, you know, what is the environment it seems to like, right? I know that there's a lot in Vermont, and in Portland. I know that if you go to the Presumpscot River Trail, you could find this tree there, as well as, you know, other local trails. But you know, I think that would be a good place to go and find somewhere in the woods to sit with her. Yeah, and you know, another way of sitting, like softening your eyes, you know, just trying to let these barriers, these constructs that have been created in our experience of growing in the world, like how can we let those fall away a little? You know, and like, can we see beyond this veil that has been, you know, created for us to see the world? Whoops. Hey, what's the matter? My doggy's barking. He's tired of sitting here. Well, yeah, I will move along here now. And oh, I was gonna do this little offering. Enzo, relax. So I burned some cedar when we got here, and then I have some little, you see it? I have some rose petals. There. And I'm gonna just offer it at the base of the tree and harvest some that we can make medicine from. And so, yeah, I'll just be taking, they should just like kind of pop off really easily. I'm not gonna take this old stuff, but just kind of pops right off with ease here. And I'm gonna check in with the plant, feel into whether I have like a yes or a no on a certain branch or a certain tree. Just spend some time just communing and collecting. Yeah, and I will show you some more in a minute. So this is the little tree and the little dog that I chose. You can see it's growing. It's like, you know, struggling here. There's not a lot of leaves on it. And it's growing in this canopy of all these other deciduous trees. So it doesn't really have like a lot of light. It feels like. And that's, you know, partially why it's, you know, it's young, but it's like looking ragged. And so also when we're harvesting, you know, in general, if you don't have, you know, a tree that might be in a similar situation as this, then, you know, choose an older tree. This one, you know, give the new guy a new chance. So for preventing, you know, if we want to allow this tree to continue its growth, you know, avoid the tips, like the very tips that are more exposed to the sun, and go farther down here. I could get one of these. You see, it just comes off really easily. Yeah. So I'll show you now some other trees. All right, so this is an example of, this one looks pretty similar. The leaves are also like flat, like, but they're much longer. And yeah, a simple way. And also you can see that some of the needles are going up. Like they're not all just straight across. We'll look again to compare. But Eastern Hemlock is really like much shorter than this. This is wider leaves, and this is a young tree as well. So this is a balsam fir. And yeah, you would easily know that it's not the right tree if you tasted it. And there's really drying and bitter taste that is a little bit more intense. So that's one. So here is a comparison. So this is the fir that I'm holding next to the hemlock. Notice there's a slight difference in the way the leaves look as well. And it looks like the stem is like green or no, I don't know. But, and then the underside, I feel like sometimes, yeah, see those two distinct lines? It's almost like a bluish sometimes too. Let's see the underside of this one. Pretty similar. Yeah, but they are growing a little bit more all around. And so you see how the shape of the needle here is important. It kind of starts out a little wider, tapers into the tip, and the Douglas fir here, which apparently is like not even technically a fir. Anyways, so these leaves are like not quite as delicate in my eyes. And it's a little bit different of a shape. It's not as pointy at the tip. So that, and they're much wider, obviously. This is like just like a 1/2 inch, the eastern hemlock. And including the older trees, like they'll still be the same size. And this is like 1 inch. Cool. So, and then we have a little spruce tree right here. This is a little guy. This one is like, it kind of hurts when you touch it. It's very spiky, and the needles, like, yeah, they literally go all the way around. Very spiky. And it looks like they all like come out into the sprouting here is all like, these buds all come out in these threes, it looks like. Yeah. And so, yeah, again, this is also like medicinal, but we are wanting to work with the same plant together. So we want to distinguish the eastern white pine. I mean, sorry, we want to distinguish the eastern hemlock. Yeah, there's nothing really different on the underside like the other two I just showed you. Yeah, and I feel like eastern white pine is one that you guys know and is more common. I'm looking around. There is one somewhere around here. It's not as prevalent in these woods. But yeah, it looks very different. So I don't think you'll get it confused with that one once you have seen this eastern white pine. I mean eastern hemlock. Alright. I think the doggy has had enough for today. So here's the hemlock that I harvested. And I started chopping some up here. So if you were just making a cup, you might use about a tablespoon. And you can also just mash it up in a different way if you want. If you have like a mortar and pestle, but a knife is cool too. I think we all have a knife at home. Yeah, and really what I'm trying to do is just break open the cellular structure a little bit, because that activates the medicine more. It's really like with any herbs, like if you have a dried herb, like breaking it up will also help do that. So yeah, I just wanted to show you this part. And then, so this would be about for a cup of tea. So I can put this in a cup. I could put it in a pan and put it on low, but just steeping it. These are fresh, so we don't really need to like break it down too much, but we can steep it, and right after the water stops boiling for like 20 minutes. You know, boiling, it's a little bit of a myth, like as far as if you're making tea from something, that boiling it would take away the vitamin content. So that's if you were like just eating the leaves and we're drinking the water. So yeah, however you want to cook it up, it'll be darker if you're boiling it, but we can just steep it like you would any tea, and that will be suffice.